Our 2013 CES coverage is powered by Ford. Go further.
Okay guys, so here we have the Samsung Galaxy Note 2, the Sony Xperia Z, and the iPhone 4. As you can see, the iPhone 4 is significantly smaller than the Sony Xperia. And as you can see, the Sony Xperia itself is quite a bit smaller than the Galaxy Note. I'll put that up to the top right corner so you can kind of see the differences in size. Also, let's go ahead and just explain some of the basic features about each of these phones. So this, the iPhone 4 had a 3.5-inch screen. The iPhone 5 has a 4-inch screen. This has got a 5-inch screen with a 1080p resolution. So the iPhone is 3.5 inches, the Sony is 5 inches, and the Samsung Galaxy Note is 5.5. Something really important to note is the dots per inch of each of these. The iPhone 4 screen resolution is around 960 by 640. I think it's that. I'm not sure if it's that. It's close to that. The Sony Xperia, though, comes with a 1080p screen, so 920 by 1080. And the Samsung Galaxy Note comes with a 720p screen, which is surprisingly good for the size. We're going to go and put the iPhone aside for a second and focus on the Samsung Galaxy Note and the Sony Xperia. Both comes with quad-core processors. Obviously, the screen resolution is a huge difference. The 1080p screen resolution is roughly double in terms of pixels per inch. And the smoothness of the interface seems to be roughly the same. They both interact extremely smoothly, almost no hiccups ever. And honestly, I haven't used the Xperia Z for that much, but just from my experience of using it, it seems like a very smooth interface. Though honestly, I don't really like the boxy gray things. This seems a little bit outdated to me. For example, I click this one, it's just, all it is the apps. This seems so much more fluid. I like this interface much more. And I think that just comes down to what Samsung did versus Sony in terms of the actual applications. Another thing important to note is that we've got proprietary buttons on the bottom here with a back button and an options button and a home button, whereas the buttons on this one are actually the back button, home button, and multitasking button are all built into the device. So the device screen itself, so there's no buttons along the bottom, there's no home button. So that's really important to note. Let's go ahead and tilt this to the side and take a look at what options we have here. Now the Sony Xperia Z has a power plug here that is completely sealed off. Like if you notice right here on the Samsung Galaxy Note, there's a hole there. That's where you put the USB to charge it. But the Sony, what they did is they made everything watertight. So basically it's a waterproof phone that you can completely submerge as long as all the ports are sealed off. Let me go ahead and see if I can pop one of these open so you can see the inside. Okay, so there's the micro SD slot right there with the micro SD card. And so this is an example of waterlogged protection right there. So that's pretty awesome. And the same thing's true for the headphone port along the top. You've got to pop it out. And that can honestly be a little bit of a hassle, but it also prevents your phone from dying if you drop it in the toilet or have an accident at the swimming pool. So along the right side here, we've got the power button and the volume rocker, as well as the SIM card slot right here underneath another panel. Along the bottom, we don't have much. On the back, we have a 13 megapixel camera, and on the back of the Galaxy Note 2, we also have a 8 megapixel camera, both with LED flashes, and this has a mic as well. One important thing to note with the Galaxy Note 2 is that you do have a stylus. So you pull that out, and you have a stylus in your hand, which is an awesome feature as well. So let's go ahead and pop that back in. So just going over the brief Samsung Galaxy ports really quick. You've got the volume rocker along the left, headphone port along the top, and the power button to turn the phone on and off along the right. In terms of which phone would I recommend you to get, you're going to have to look at the battery life on that, the performance, and the overall features. Does it have what you want? Can you expand your memory? Which you can with both of these phones. You can put a micro SD in the back of this one as well. You have to pop the back out, obviously, to get that. There is no user replaceable battery on this one, so you can't replace the battery. You can with this one, however. You can take the back off, which is really nice. And part of the reason that you can't take your battery out is because it's waterproof and also dust-proof. So if you're going to be taking this, in the desert or swimming a lot or surfing, for example, volleyball, you're not going to get any dust in between. Like, for example, with a button like this or with holes like the headphone adapters and stuff like that, if you're in a sandy environment, you can get dust in there and it'll prevent your headphones from working properly and stuff like that. So with that in mind, I gotta say, I'm really impressed with the screen resolution on the Sony Xperia Z. That's just freaking amazing. If you can zoom in and do a macro shot on that, the detail on the grass is just incredible. Yeah, and obviously one of the other features you have to consider is the camera. You've got a 13 megapixel on the back that has HDR video and photo built in. So that is something that you have to keep in mind, that if you're going to use HDR on the Samsung Galaxy Note 2, you have to download a third-party app to be able to use that. And obviously the detail on a 13 megapixel camera is quite good. And obviously we haven't been able to fully test these in terms of the actual camera quality itself. But from the overall impressions and the way they talk about it, it's supposed to be pretty amazing. But obviously you can't always trust what you hear, but just the way they talk about it, it's supposed to be really amazing. So anyway, guys, that's a comparison of the new Sony Xperia Z versus the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. This is my personal phone. I'm rolling with it right now. But honestly, the 1080p screen on here makes me take a double take on which phone I'm carrying. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys later.
Thanks again to Ford.